Coleman, a.k.a. Silvercloud, embodies the St. Louis blues. When Silvercloud was born in 1933, St. Louis was a hotbed of blues, every bit as much as Chicago, Memphis, or the Mississippi Delta.
There were blues clubs all over the city.
Veteran broadcaster Bernie Hayes.
All the way out to the city limits and even to the county and so forth. North Side, South Side, the Midtown, every place there was some place that played the blues and featured the blues and featured these wonderful artists. It was like a circuit in itself in the St. Louis area.
I had more work than I could get. Club filled up. People were coming in there from miles around.
The club Silvercloud was talking about was the Reflections Bar, and it was off the 400 block of North Euclid, right up that alley. What is now Dressel's at the time was Club Kathmandu, and over here, Herbie's was Balaban's. Now, the period was around the late 1970s, but Silvercloud's style and repertoire was in keeping with an older generation of St. Louis blues artists whose names and achievements were largely forgotten.
I act like a clown. I really don't know what to do, what to do.
Enter the painter of this portrait of Silvercloud. He discovered that a period of time preceding World War II was missing from St. Louis blues history, and it sent Kevin Belford on a quest to fill in the blanks.
As an artist, it was interesting to me to do a series of portraits of the blues legends of St. Louis. And that's what compelled me to look into this, maybe just do a series of portraits. So I went looking for the names and the biographies of our guys. And you start looking at those books, the traditional books on the blues, and it's all about the guys in the Delta. It's all about the guys in Memphis or Chicago. It's like, well, where's St. Louis? There's a paragraph here and there. No list of names, no biographies. And I know everyone knows we have a really strong tradition of blues. Well, the St. Louis Blues was one of the biggest songs. So I couldn't find it, and I found out there wasn't one. And that compelled me to research this book.
St. Louis woman with a diamond ring on her door.
15 years of research went into that book, entitled Devil at the Confluence.
I think that's part of the reason that St. Louis was forgotten. Nobody did that hard work of research, and it was hard just because nobody had done it. So it was kind of an endless circle. Since no one had collected it over the years, it had to be, it was gone. And in a lot of cases, there's things missing. Luckily, there are people still alive like Silvercloud who I could talk to and get the facts and the details and then go find the evidence of that.
Lord, I walked all night long with my 44 in my hand.
I ended up finding almost 200 names in the book that are from St. Louis, totally St. Louis.
I'd rather be in a muddy creek, Lord, like a love.
50 of them were stars. A dozen were superstars from St. Louis. This is the period between Scott Joplin and Chuck Berry, missing. That's compelling to rethink American music history. This wasn't a transition place, a place that people passed through on their way to other places. This was a place where ragtime happened, then blues happened, then jazz happened, then boogie-woogie, all the way up through the wars, up till today. We all know this about St. Louis.
The portraits in the book were on display at the Children's Illustrated Art Museum in Crestwood Court.
Eva Taylor, totally forgotten, but a very important blues singer in the late 20s. And this is the time of Bessie Smith on a national level. Eva Taylor was just as big. On the artwork here, we can see newspaper clippings in the Argus and newspapers in town that she had her own radio show for NBC out of St. Louis. She did eventually marry Clarence Williams, who's in New York, and lived there and then went to Europe, much like Josephine Baker did earlier. Same with Lonnie Johnson. There is no birth certificate, but we assume he was born in New Orleans. He didn't start recording until he got to St. Louis.
Well, it's too late to cry, baby. Your last chance is gone.
In St. Louis, he won the blues contest week after week at the Booker Washington Theater. So it was the audiences in St. Louis that propelled him to stardom. And he became a very, very big star, recording into the 1970s at least, till his death.
'Cause you've been so mean and evil. that you should be left alone.
The Turpins are St. Louisans' ragtime period. And ragtime was the music that became blues, and then became jazz, and then came rock and roll. It's a long evolution in St. Louis, starting with the Turpins. Tom Turpin had as many recordings as Scott Joplin, a very famous ragtime composer, more or less forgotten today. The St. Louis artists that recorded, those dozen superstars, were recording through the Depression when 75 cents was a lot for someone to spend for a record. And bringing an artist in to record them and make a record and market it cost the companies a lot of money. During the Depression, you didn't do that with just anyone. And our artists were recording through the Depression for a decade there like there was no Depression. That says a lot about the talent in St. Louis.
Luckily for blues devotees, younger generations of musicians are discovering what all the fuss was about in the 1920s, 30s, and beyond.
I've been playing guitar since I was about 8, and I actually kind of came up in the punk rock scene and quickly discovered blues. Not only was I interested in their playing, but the actual content of the songs and stuff like that. My group, we listen to the stuff and we play a lot of early blues and stuff like that, but everything we record is all original, so it's our take on that music, but it's new, so we're kind of, that's our way at least of carrying it forward a little bit.
And Silvercloud is carrying it forward too. He retired from full-time performing in 1992 and plays occasionally at special events, like this benefit at BB's Blues and Soups in downtown St. Louis. But at the urging of friends, he's considering a comeback.
I guess I was too selfish. I mean, I did what I wanted to do. And not thinking about what the people wanted me to do, you know. I kind of pushed that aside. But it's not all about me anymore. Now it's about what the people want.